Well, welcome people to our very first episode of this YouTube channel. We're going to be discussing Star Wars, the Obi-Wan show. And my name is Gonzalo, and this is my co-presenter, co-partner, co-frenemy, Ian. And so we're going for it. Ian, come at me. Let's go.
Let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Why? Just you didn't have to say that part. Let's just go with it. Let's go with it. I'll cut it out.
Could you be more text-to-speech, please? We're actually going to talk about.
Okay, to start off, I believe the Obi-Wan show is a really good show, paying homage to Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, all these feelings. I just think it's missing a couple of narrative justices. I think there's a lot of messing around with plot holes. It doesn't seem too good. The acting actually doesn't seem too good. I think the Reva's character, the actress Moses, I think she can be great in a couple of years. I just don't think she fits the role for this Inquisitor, who's supposed to be a badass, who's supposed to be a grown-up kind of this person that we fear. And then in her torturing Leia later on, I think it's episode 4, episode 3, or whatever. Like she just doesn't give you that feeling of being just imposing and threatening. Because this is what the Inquisitor is, just pure evil, right? Also, Ewan McGregor's voice, man. I don't know. I don't know if you saw the show Halston, but Halston, he kind of did that similar voice. I think it's more his natural voice rather than his Obi-Wan acting voice. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I think overall, I don't think the show is that bad. I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's probably better than Boba Fett at this moment. But I do think it's missing a lot of stuff. Reva, like you said, I don't think she's that great at acting at this moment for this kind of role. And I think Ewan has actually been doing a really good job with this role. I think he's tapping into his Alec Guinness enough for it to not throw me off too much. It does sound a little bit like he is talking like his normal self, but I also do feel like I'm getting a little bit more of that older Obi-Wan vibe from him rather than the prequel vibe. But I also have to say that he's doing whatever he can with the material.
No,
because I think that the material isn't the greatest stuff for him, especially. He's a great actor. We already know that he's good at acting and playing the role. But he's just given whatever they gave him. He's just doing what he has to do with that.
I think it's a conscious thing though of the viewer now, of like, oh, that everyone's saying that what Ewan McGregor's doing with Obi-Wan is like he's doing like a Alec Guinness. I think had he not said that during the Star Wars event, had it never reached public consciousness, I don't think any of us would be talking about how he's acting towards that goal of acting like Alec Guinness, right? I think it's a mental thing that they kind of a narrative that they wanted the viewer to hold. So
I don't know because I think in episode 1 when he's talking to Owen and he tells him that the boy has to be trained in the Force, talking about Luke, I got like a very Alec Guinness vibe, and that was before a celebration happened. So I don't really know. Like I think once the first moment I saw him, I started hearing how he was talking in the show. Like I felt like, oh, okay, he's trying his best to be an older Obi-Wan. And he's getting kind of closer to what Alec Guinness would be. I don't think that he is perfectly that, and he should not be that, because we're not there yet. That's still another like 10 years away in the show, or in the series in general.
Which is crazy because when you see Alec Guinness in New Hope, right, he's clearly an older man, close to his 70s, right? But then in the Obi-Wan show, which is 10 years away from, the first, from episode 4, right? Like, how does that transition?
3,
Yeah, like how does that transition work? Like it's kind
I
of
mean,
interesting,
again,
but
that goes into the shit that we were talking about with plot holes. Like there's a lot of plot hole issues. Like yeah, it's filling a lot of the ones that should have been filled, but at the same time, with that, it ends up creating even more that actually make it seem a little off, in my opinion. Like that's kind of a little bit like weird. Like Ewan is definitely not anywhere near as old as Alkins was
yeah,
at this point, or looking that way, because he still kind of doesn't look that much older than he did in Revenge of the Sith, really.
yeah. I guess you have to work around with characters. Like you can't bring Alec McGinnis back to kind of conform those images. Um, what do you think about something that we were made aware of as fans of Star Wars, that Lucasfilm kind of talked to Moses about the potential of like racism thrown at her, racist remarks about her, where any critique of her acting is because of her race rather than the performance and the writing itself. What do you think about that?
Like I have nothing against her because of that. I just think that the Inquisitors are supposed to be way more evil, or at least have to have that vibe, no matter what. I think in general the Inquisitors have not been that great in the show. In general, like not even just her. I think everyone else has been pretty meh at acting. The Grand Inquisitor doesn't look anything like how the Grand Inquisitor is supposed to look like. Uh, I forget what the other Inquisitor's name is, but already because he's super forgettable, and his acting is really stale too. Like I feel like he's just trying to be mean as much as he can, even though he really isn't. He really can't tap into that, and I feel the same way with Reva, with Moses. She can't tap into that just yet. So I understand that. Yes, there are probably people out there that are saying this, having issues with her because she's black, and that should not be the case. But I think a lot of the people that have an issue with her are just because she's not that great at acting in this role at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Hollywood's gonna, the Hollywood media is gonna support that aspect of, oh, it's the fan base, but in reality, it's a critique of how poorly written some of the stuff is. Where there's, I don't even remember when Reva's like in the tunnel chasing after Leia, and like beats Leia to the other person who's supposed to wake her up. Like, are you like the most simplest explanation would be, oh well, she has the Force and she can run really fast, but like it's a tunnel. Wouldn't she have seen Leia at some point, or sense her in the Force or whatever? Like, there's a lot of plot holes there. And yeah, I mean, the writing, I think that's something that's poorly done on behalf of Disney, where they're critiquing the critiques. I mean, this is the whole point of media, right? And I think I like the way you said it, that there are going to be some people who chase her, who go after her because she's black. But in reality, that's not most of the population, and it's because a lot of the critique, not justifying the racism, is of her act, is of the writing.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, her character has been written to know a lot of things that don't make sense for her to know, especially her knowing that Anakin and Darth Vader are the same person. When I think in canon, I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that it's really only supposed to be like Palpatine and Tarkin that are the only two that really know that information. So how does she know that information? And her teaching Vader how to put trackers on people and letting them go so they could catch them later on in their base is a little ridiculous as well.
It's funny that you say that, because Darth Vader, I think, does that tactic with I think it's Leia or
they do that later in A New Hope.
Yeah,
and that's why I say that, and that's why a lot of people are trying to defend that by saying, "Oh, well, that's how Leia knows later on that they just let them go so easily and let them track them later on in New Hope, that she learned that lesson from this point." But that's still ridiculous that this Inquisitor is teaching Darth Vader how to do things when Darth Vader is literally like the most badass Sith ever.
Yeah, but
And
remember,
it was kind of ridiculous.
this is Darth Vader 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So it's a Darth Vader that's still learning and is still fueled by that Anakin rage, not Darth Vader. Because it's a whole different experience, a whole different persona at different stages of any of Darth Vader's life. Because Anakin was still a kid, basically, right? Playing at grown-ups games. I mean, overall, yeah, no, that's some of the plot holes. Um, Also, how did she know about like Obi-Wan and Senator Organa's involvement? Like, I think someone else on YouTube also talked about this. Like, wouldn't that spark up suspicion if a Jedi just came to save your daughter?
Well, it's funny enough, I wrote that down. Why wouldn't the Empire go after him and Leia over the next 9 years? Because they're the ones that literally pretty much created the Rebel Alliance and pretty much funded them. You would think that the Empire, and Vader especially, because he knows, why the fuck wouldn't they go after them over the next 9 years and like treat them like shit and watch their every single move?
It might be also that the Empire doesn't know that when Riva plans the whole kidnapping of Organa's daughter, of Leia, where the Grand Inquisitor finds out, but then he's incapacitated afterwards, right? So what if he just never wrote down the report? Like that could also be a reason behind this.
Yeah, but I think you can't even just say that, because especially Vader's like the biggest Jedi hunter out of all of them.
Yeah, so why would the Grand
and why
Inquisitor?
Why would Vader let it go? That's the issue.
No, but why would the Grand Inquisitor?
But the Grand Inquisitor dying also doesn't make any sense.
No, wait. So why would the Grand Inquisitor tell Darth Vader that Reva captured a senator's daughter if that could mean the Grand Inquisitor's, punishment, because he has no control over his disciples, So I think it
just causes more issues.
But I think it's the thing that the Grand Inquisitor didn't tell anybody that Obi-Wan was with Leia, that Leia was kidnapped. And that's why when Obi-Wan is just, with a child, just going hitchhiking, right? Not hitchhiking, what's it called? What's it called? Yeah, hitchhiking, right?
Hitchhiking.
Yeah, when they're hitchhiking in that world, that's what they don't recognize. Like, I feel like that could explain some of the plot holes that we see. Like, are stormtroopers really that stupid that they don't have a picture of Obi-Wan with a little kid? Like, right?
But I think in episode 4, like, Vader knows now, especially that Kenobi and Leia are definitely together.
Does Vader know that that's Leia though?
Well, he has to know at this point.
Okay, but
he has to know at this point.
Who told him?
Revo definitely told him.
Are you
sure? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure of that.
Interesting. But did he say that she captured Leia, like that she organized it?
He has to know at this point. He was definitely involved in the plan.
I don't think so.
So you think that Vader doesn't know that Leia is the kid that Kenobi is trying to save?
I don't think he knows.
There's no way that's the case.
I don't think he knows about the kidnapping.
He definitely knows about it.
Maybe he just thinks that Obi-Wan's on the run because he's, like they found him out and now he's on the run.
No. He definitely knows.
Okay.
And that causes issues.
All right.
Well, I mean, even if Vader doesn't know, the Inquisitors still exist post the show. So they would still.
Do you think they would know?
Watch. Well, they definitely know now. They definitely know. They will know. The Grand Inquisitor has to come back in some way because he's in Rebels. So they have to know that Dale and Obi-Wan know each other and know where they're at. Unless they believe that Kenobi dies, but obviously we don't know everything because the show isn't over.
Maybe Reva dies at the end, and then the Grand Inquisitor dying, right? He kind of like loses his memory, and so he doesn't remember it. I feel like that's what is
But
gonna happen.
That's such a cop out.
Because here's what we know, right?
That's horrible writing.
We know that Leia gets away. We know that Obi-Wan ends up back on Tatooine, right? So something must have happened. That means Reva failed, right? That means Reva failed. That means Darth Vader kills her at the end.
I don't know. I think
Because we know the Grand Inquisitor is gonna be in Rebels a couple years later.
No, I think like at this point I can't say everything because we obviously haven't watched the last 4 episodes yet because they haven't come out yet.
Last 4, isn't it 6? Isn't it 6 episodes?
Oh, it's 8 episodes. Isn't
No, it's 6.
Oh, it's 6.
Yeah. 5 is tomorrow, and then 6 is next week.
Well, we haven't seen the rest of the show, so
yeah,
like we don't really know if they're gonna fix that.
Which I doubt.
At this point, it's causing a lot of plot hole issues, and that is the issue.
Episode 4 was very boring.
Episode 4 was horrible.
It was just boring. I mean,
it was like episode.
It's Obi-Wan, man. Bring him back. Bring him in full glory. I mean, tell the story, right? But like, give me epicness. I don't want to see another Mandalorian show. Because this is kind of what Obi-Wan has been so far. It's just like, it's a version of the Mandalorian. That's
yeah. It's
rugged middle-aged man with child. Sounds wrong, but this is what the storyline has been.
That's one of my issues too with the show is that they're spending a little too much time on this rescue thing. I think it should have been over after the 3rd episode, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that he should go back to Tatooine and at least, I'm not saying he should completely train Luke or anything, but Luke should still be a part of the show a lot more.
I think
like that makes more sense.
I think season 2, because I think there should be a second season, should be him killing Maul IRL.
They can't do that though.
They could just repeat scenes, bro. They could just make the scene from Rebel in IRL.
They would have to age you in like a lot. For
that technology exists.
I don't know if they could pull that off, honestly. But I think that goes
you know what they could
too
do?
Much to New Hope though.
They could just bring up Alec McGinnis from the grave and just like have him act and just put like a green suit over him.
We don't need to do another Tarkin situation.
I think Tarkin was fine. Here's the thing.
I think he was good like the first like few times that you saw him in Rogue One, but him having like a lot of lines and him being in the movie a lot more, I think that's wrong.
Have you ever seen Beowulf?
It made it stand out too much.
Have you ever seen Beowulf, the animated movie? No. I'm cultured swine. Anyways, I think more movies and more, especially Star Wars stuff, should be animated, but it should be like really good animation, with a realistic style rather than it's like a cartoonish style. If you've seen Beowulf, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Anyways, guys, I think this is the end of the episode. It will be up tomorrow, I think, hopefully, and then it should be paired up with episode 5 and then episode 6 when it comes out. Any last words, Ian?
Not really. I just hope that everyone enjoyed us kind of talking, discussing the show. I really do want to go into a more in-depth discussion, but we definitely need to see the rest of the show before I think we can really get like super into like everything like that. So yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode, and hopefully that we could do this again for the next 2 episodes and finish it out.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.